Are you interested in opening your own digital Etsy shop, but you have no idea where to start? If so, you are in luck, because that is exactly what this series is going to be about. I'm going to be taking you along with me step by step as I create my very first digital shop. Make sure you stick around. Okay, so this first episode is actually going to be just to help you get set up and ready and on your way. Make sure you have the right equipment, make sure you have the right software, and this way you're able to follow along throughout this series and do exactly as I do for your own shop. But before we get into all that, I really wanted to take a minute to introduce myself, since this is the first episode of the series and actually my first YouTube video ever. My name is Heather and I am an entrepreneur, and I am brand new to the journey and super excited about it. I honestly can't believe it took me so long to figure out what it is that I wanted to do with my life. I mean, I always wanted to run my own business, and I always felt like maybe there was more that I should be doing with my life. But you know, I just listened to what everybody told you growing up, is that what you need to do is go to college, get a great paying 9-to-5 job, and work your butt off until you're old enough to retire, hopefully, and enjoy life. So that's exactly what I did. I went to college, got my 9-to-5 paying job, and hated every minute of it. It just was not for me. I needed something more. About 4 years ago, I was driving Lyft on the nights and weekends to make some extra money. And one day I picked up this passenger, taking him to the airport, and we got to talking. It was a little bit of a drive. He says to me, you know, you really seem like a go-getter. You should read this book called The 4-Hour Workweek. Now, I'm sure most of you guys have heard of it or read it yourselves, but at that time I had never heard of it. So naturally I asked, well, what is it about? So as he starts to explain it to me, I am completely intrigued, but not necessarily about what he was saying. It was more about the excitement in his voice. Like, he really believed this book, and it got him kind of all fired up. That got me fired up. So as soon as I got home that night, I went right on Amazon, ordered the book, and started reading it as soon as it came in 2 days later. As I read this book, my mindset really started to shift. Like, maybe I can actually do this. This seems so exciting. I was just so pumped about it. I have never been that pumped about my day job ever. So I started watching YouTube video after YouTube video, trying to learn as much as I could about online businesses, entrepreneurship, marketing, everything you could think of. It took me a little while to figure out exactly what kind of business I wanted to start with. I dabbled in drop shipping a little bit, but it just really wasn't for me. However, I did learn a lot from the process. I learned a lot about marketing, creating your own website, so many other things. But I really wanted to start my own brand, something that was all mine, something that I could be proud of. That is when I decided to open my first Etsy shop. It's called The Journal Effect, and I sell and make planner stickers, planners, journals. I'd always loved organization and planning. It really gave me a sense of calm, to know what to expect out of myself, to know I was heading somewhere, to set goals. It's just something I've always been interested in. Deciding to open a shop like this, it wasn't a huge investment. It was an investment, but not huge. I was able to start with a printer and a cutter, and then gradually over time, you know, add another printer, add another cutter. Same thing with the designs I was creating. I could start with a few designs and then just keep adding more and more designs along the way. However, because I decided to grow my store organically over time instead of investing a bunch of money, it has taken a little while to take off, which is fine with me. That's what I preferred. I was still working my 9-to-5, and then I was working this business on nights and weekends. It was getting pretty tough, I'm not gonna lie. I started it in June. This June will be 3 years ago. And so for the first year and a half, I was working full time and working nights and weekends and never giving myself any time off. And I was starting to get tired. And I knew that I did not want to continue to work this schedule, but I really didn't want to work my 9-to-5 anymore. So I set a goal, 1 year. I gave myself 1 year to save up as much money as I could so that I could just go ahead and quit the job and go all in on it. As scary as that sounds and as scary as it was, I actually did it. In November of 2022, I finally quit my 9-to-5 job. My story I would consider far from a success because I haven't even come close to making up for my 9-to-5 job income yet. But of course I have a plan, and my sticker shop is just the first step, one small piece of the puzzle. So I've been working on step 2 of my diversification plan, and that is to open a digital Etsy shop. I am still in the beginning stages of the process. However, I knew that step 3 to my plan was to create a YouTube video. So one day I just said, why am I not doing both at the same time? One of the reasons I wanted to start a YouTube channel was to create a community of like-minded, aspiring entrepreneurs that we can help each other out, ask each other questions, and really just create like a group. So why not create the community now and have support for creating a digital Etsy shop? I'm curious, if you yourself is an aspiring entrepreneur, what do people say to you when you tell them, friends and family, that this is what you want to do, that you would want to quit a secure job to work for yourself? Because in my experience, most of my friends and family think I'm crazy. Why would you want to leave your secure 9-to-5 paying job for something like that? Enter YouTube. I've been watching YouTubers for a while now, getting tips and tricks and learning how I could possibly grow my business for so long. But one thing I've struggled with is finding YouTubers that are on the same path as me currently. Sure, they all started out where I'm starting out now at some point or another, but technology changes, trends change, these things change fast. I have found quite often that people are waiting until they're at a certain point in their career before they start their YouTube channel. I personally feel it would be more helpful to follow somebody who's going through the process and starting off at the same level as I am. You know, then I can watch the mistakes that they make and learn from that. We all know we learn more from mistakes than we do from victories. That brings me to why I wanted to create this channel and this series, so that we could create a community and we can all do this together, all learn from each other. So I invite you to follow me and learn from all of my many mistakes that I'm guaranteed to have along the way. Feel free to let me know if you think I'm wrong in the comments, or to ask questions or offer advice. We can all benefit from it. That's enough of all that. Now let's actually get into why you should open a digital Etsy shop. I am sure you've heard everybody say you open a digital shop because it's passive income, and passive income is everything. I happen to think a bigger reason to open a digital shop is low overhead. If you're just starting out on your journey now, you probably don't have a lot of money to throw into it. Or maybe you have some money laying around, but you just find it a little too risky. You don't know if this is gonna work out, and you don't wanna just put all your eggs in one basket. And I'm telling you right now, the good news is it does not take a lot of money at all to open a digital shop. Now, while I am creating this series around opening a digital planner and sticker shop, that is because that is the next step in the process for my business. However, you don't need to be opening the same specific type of digital shop. Most of what we are going to discuss will work for any digital shop that you want to open. You may also be wondering why on Etsy specifically. You can use other platforms or even create your own website to sell your digital products. However, I just find that it's so easy to upload and sell digital products specifically on Etsy. It's just the easiest route to go for now. I am planning this series to be 13 to 15 videos over the next couple of months. We will be going from start to finish of the process to get your shop up and running. And then we'll have a few follow-up videos just to check in on the process and see how it's going. Because I did start this process a few months ago, I do have some products already created, but don't worry, I will take you through the process of how I created each. But please keep in mind, I am not an expert at this. This is my first digital shop, so there is a good chance I'm gonna make some mistakes along the way. But that's the point of starting early. You're gonna get some real life behind the scenes look at what it takes to open a digital shop. Now I just want to mention a bit about the next couple videos that will be coming up in this series. The next video will be discussing different types of digital products you could sell. So if you want to open a digital shop, but you still don't know yet what it is you want to make, that video will help you out greatly. The 2 videos following will be specific to planners, digital planners, and digital stickers. So follow along if you would like, because it may help. Otherwise, you can skip past those 2 episodes and continue on with us for the rest of the series. So next, I do want to go through and get you set up and discuss some of the possible software programs you can use, explain the ones that I use and the ones that I will be showing in those few videos on how to actually create some of these products. Now, the programs that I personally use and have been using for a while are all Adobe products. Well, mostly Adobe products. I do have the Creative Cloud, and more specifically, the programs I use most often are Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. I personally love Adobe Creative Cloud. It has a program for any part of your business that you could possibly need software for. With that being said, there is definitely a learning curve to these programs. I did definitely spend a good amount of time investing and learning them. But the good news, they're quite cohesive. Once you learn one program, there may be some things different in the others, but generally speaking, you should be able to navigate all of them. You might also hear some say that they don't care to use Adobe because they think that it's kind of a high price point. I believe as of right now, it's $59 a month to have access to the Creative Cloud. I personally don't find it to be expensive. I think it's well worth the money, considering all of the many professional programs that I have access to and that I actually use on a daily basis. And I also find it to be relatively low when you consider a business expense. However, I am aware that if you're just starting out, you might not have this disposable income at the moment. That's okay. Next, I will go over some cheap or free alternatives to these Adobe products. But first, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you can keep following along with the series. Now, just as promised, here are some cheap or free alternatives to Adobe programs. Let's start with InDesign. I use InDesign for making my planners, my journals, anything that's going to be a longer form project. So if you're a MacBook user or iPad user, a good free alternative to InDesign for creating digital planners is Keynote. The nice thing about Keynote is there is no limit to the number of tutorials you can find on YouTube. If you don't have a Mac or an iPad, a cheap alternative to InDesign would be Affinity Publisher. There is a fee to it. It's a $50 one-time fee. Now, another program that I use is Photoshop to create listing photos, marketing photos, and whatnot. There are 2 free alternatives that I could recommend. One is called GIMP. The other is called, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Krita. These are both free alternatives to Photoshop for photo editing. However, there are so many more photo editing programs that you can find for both Mac and PC and for your phones and tablets. There are an unlimited number of them out there. So if you currently use another program that you know well, you can stick with that. But just do a little search online, see what maybe will work a little bit better for you and the equipment that you currently have and plan to be using. So the last program I'm going to talk about is Illustrator. A good free alternative to Illustrator would be called Inkscape. That is a free program that you could download to your computer and use. Okay, another program that I do use when I want a more hand-drawn sticker would be Procreate. Unfortunately, this is only available for iPad users. However, if you do have an iPad and an Apple Pencil, it is a great program. Only $9.99 one-time fee, and it is limitless to what you can do in that program. So those are the programs that I use versus what you could possibly use out there. Again, I would recommend just going with the Adobe Creative Cloud. I think it's well worth the investment. However, that is totally up to you And that's going to be it for today's video, but I hope that you're ready to get the show on the road, because starting with the next episode, we are really getting into things. Again, please feel free to add comments and questions, and we'll really help everybody out. But please be respectful. We're all learning something new here, and there are no stupid questions. See you in the next episode of this series.